in my zone. Let me in my zone. Let me in my zone. Please don't let me in. Don't play that. Take you down, I'ma say that. I need me a couple dollars. Telling you now, just pay that. So I pay that. Ask him now, what's sage that? I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that.
He had to slip down all the way to turn one and it's breaking him down.
And all these men gonna tell you what I did and they twisting their words till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move from my code. So finally back in my home. I'm working, I start off with this safety car. We have one later on, so it'll be just about all in, can't beat me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great strap and almost banging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy now, mate. That's good. Settle down.
This is my favorite night of the week. Monday night incident report as we look back on our first night race on the ATK Pro Series, round 7 at Circuit de Catalunya, just outside Barcelona. Tasmin Pepper joining me. This is good fun always, eh? Looking back at a race.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And Marius, we get to hang out, so it's pretty cool sometimes.
I know, virtually anyway, you know. Listen, were you? I mean, I know you weren't with us for the Pro-Am race, but were you impressed with what you saw with the pros, especially racing at night, first time?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't obviously done it before, and I know it obviously changes the way you see the track. It's interesting to hear afterwards that their vision was quite clear. I mean, they didn't really struggle with the nighttime driving. But yeah, I thought the racing was really good, and I think we've got a lot more to come from here.
It was quite cool though, chatting to Jordan Sherritt post race, and he was saying it got darker quicker than he thought. So they did struggle initially finding those brake markers because suddenly, where's everything going? But I mean, the realism of the lights is quite incredible. It was really fantastic racing and a good circuit too. I mean, you did our lap preview of Barcelona. A real rhythm track, corners that link one to the next. So not too many clear overtake points. It's rather about lining yourself up for those one or two spots that you know you can make the pass.
Yeah, you mean my slow lap preview?
No, but you're running a setup in that Porsche. It wasn't like you had a competitive setup.
Yeah, no. I think, it was one of those tracks, like I said yesterday, is one of those tracks where you kind of have to line up a maneuver in order to make it happen and to make it stick. So we did see a few little silly mistakes where obviously it wasn't prepared, or the maneuver wasn't prepared as best as it could have been, and that's why we saw the incidents we did. Other than that, I thought that they did actually really well with regards to overtaking, and we saw a few overtaking the same lot yesterday. So I think they got a bit frustrated, but I thought the racing was really good.
I just want to do a quick little shout out to our winner. What's been so amazing, we've got a couple of a new partner that joined us for this last race. Sparko came on board, joining Corsair, AMD and Elgato, who've obviously been ensuring that what goes out in terms of the production and the quality of the racing has been top notch, along with our main series sponsors for the ATK Pro Series, Assetto Corsa, Kyalami Nanau, and of course Motorsport South Africa. But Sparkle was running a really cool competition on the social media pages, and you saw the handle of our winner, but it actually is Jason Isherwood, who is one of the racers. He's going to be really stoked because Sparkle are giving away racing gloves, but not just any racing gloves, actual proper simulator racing gloves. I don't know what that difference is, but we were actually commenting that Jason hasn't kind of been where we've been used to seeing him the last couple of rounds. So maybe those gloves are going to make a difference for him in 2 weeks' time when we get to the Angara ring. But he's won those gloves and a cap. So well done to Jason Isherwood for that. Right, let's get into our incidents. There were quite a few incidents, people falling over each other and making contact. But, we don't want to turn this into a Monday becomes Wednesday discussing everything. So we've picked 4. Usually Jonathan Bentz is here. He's actually not feeling well at the moment. And I want to make this quite clear. The incidents that we've got here are ones that weren't dealt with in race. In other words, he didn't go and issue an in-race penalty where it was 5 seconds ahead at the time. These are incidents reported post. So Taz, you and I are going to give our suggestions to him, but ultimately it will be Jonathan will make the final decision on that when he's back to speed. So let's have a look at our first incident, which is actually a Pro-Am incident. and it involves two drivers, Sean Skitter in the Ferrari and Clinton Riddle in the Porsche. That's our first look at it. So this was lap 3. They reckon that's turn 6. I want to have another look at it because it's actually into turn 7. So this right here is the lowest part of the track as you start the climb up. And there are some real undulations here at Barcelona, which you might not realize. So that's downhill, heavy under braking. Taz, what do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky corner because obviously you fall into it quite quickly. But to me, it looks like Riddell's kind of gone in a bit too late and has tapped him on the left rear. So to me, it's almost like he hasn't quite made the move. I know it's quite still a fast corner, so it's not heavy braking. So you can't really get up next to someone on the brakes. So yeah, I think Scooter's been obviously spun around here. I don't think Riddell was clean enough up his inside to make that move.
It was quite nice, that onboard shot. You can actually see, when we were on board with Skitch, you could actually see Riddell doing the switch across to try and run up the inside. But like you said, Taz, he needed to have been 100 meters further up. So that move should have happened earlier. He should have got better drive out the top here so that he was properly side by side. Then Skitter would have to back out of it. But at this point, Skitter can take the corner because he's way ahead. So it's always, for me, cut and dry when a guy's tapping a guy on the rear end like that, because no one's going to win. You'll have a look. He's never really fully alongside him for that corner. And it's a corner you can't really go side by side through anyway. So I agree with you, Taz. That move needed to be alongside him here, in other words.
Yeah, I think if it was a heavy braking zone, I think it would have been a different story, almost like if they were going into that hairpin at the end of the straight. I think he could have then definitely got alongside of him. But because it's a third gear, it's just a little brake and tip it in, I think he just wasn't, he never got a good enough drive to get up next to him enough to try and make this maneuver.
It's quite interesting. If I remember from the pro race yesterday, I think Jason Webb actually did a pass at this exact same point, but he was alongside here. So he dived up the braking here and he was side by side. So the driver couldn't turn in. I can't remember who he was overtaking, but there was no ways he could turn in because they were alongside. So I think that's just the point. It just happened a little bit too late for me. I know Clinton's going to say, yeah, but he saw me coming and he started moving across to take the corner. But the reality is, for me, he can. This feels to me like he is taking the line through the corner. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like he's just drifted across to kind of get in his way.
Yeah, I feel like he's following the black lines on the track. I know there's so many different lines that you can take into that corner. You can go in really early or go a little bit later and get the drive up the hill. So I don't think he purposely tried to cover that position. I think if you take Riddell out of the equation, he would have made the apex no problem. So I don't think Scooter was at all at fault, and I think Riddell needs to, maybe just think a little bit more about the move before he tries to make it happen.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, we'll move on to our next incident now, but I mean, that was one of those situations we were talking about where it isn't a well-known place for overtaking on the circuit. So more importantly here would be to get on his tailpipe on that climb. When you go through turn 9, make sure you've got great drive onto that back straight, and then you've got a really crucial overtaking position, the heavy braking turn to the left at the end of that back straight. So these sort of link corners are where you're getting things lined up. So you're not ever going to see too many passes here, and I think that makes it a risky place to try and get a move done. So I think we're in agreement. I think Clinton, I don't know what Jonathan will decide here, but I just think he needed to be a little bit more aware of that. It's one of those, I don't want to call it a racing incident because I think it was avoidable.
Yeah, definitely was avoidable.
Okay, let's have a look at so that was only one from the Pro-Ams. We're going to move on to the Pro category. And funnily enough, it looks like same corner, but from what I thought on the replay, I think it's actually higher up. So that was turn 7. This is between Zander Rutz and JC Krobler. Zander in the Audi and JC in the Merc in the dark yard. See, that's at the top of the hill. So that is turn 5 in actual fact. But we had a couple of incidents here in Pro-Am as well, very, very similar. Diving up the inside. I mean, I look at that, I'm going, nah, there was no overtake there for Zander. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you called it on last night as well. So it's almost, he wasn't nearly enough to go up his inside. He didn't get enough of a good enough run out the corner before it, and he's kind of almost gone for like a late lunge maneuver. But where he's tapped him on his left rear, and it's you know, when you tap in there, like you keep saying, you know that you're not meant to be there. You know, you
100%.
haven't made the move. You've made half an attempt at making a pass, and you know nothing's happened to you, but you've spun the guy around. So yeah, I think he's thought about it, gone for it, and kind of gone, oops, you know, maybe I shouldn't have been there.
I think, yeah, Taz is so spot on. I think if Xander looks back at this, he's going to realize he was a bit in no man's land. Like, this move needed to be done. He should have been up the inside of him already. But again, these are those places that aren't great for overtaking. They're not cut and dry. So you've really got to be there. But by the time he decided to have a go, when he saw JC go on the brakes, he thought, oh, let me run it up the inside. But at the end of the day, it was never a pass that he was gonna make. We don't mind door-to-door contact because both drivers survive that. That means you're alongside the guy. But a tap over there, and again, JC taking the perfect line through the corner. There's nothing much he can do, you know. So the responsibility becomes Xander. So I think these are quite cut and dry, yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely could have been avoided. And also, like we keep saying, I mean, this is one of those tracks where you kind of got to line a pass up. So, yes, he felt like he was close enough, but he still never got a drive good enough to get alongside him. So, it's like the distance from that corner to turn 5, from turn 4 to turn 5 is so short
Yeah.
that you already needed to be alongside him to make a maneuver into turn 5. So, yeah, I think he's definitely at fault, and I don't see this as a racing incident. I think a penalty needs to happen.
That aerial shot's actually crucial because it shows JC 100% on the black line. I mean, he's on the perfect racing line through that corner. So, yeah, the incident 1 and 2 are so similar because the point of contact is at the same place. It's a kind of messy attempt, half-arse at an overtake, nothing cut and dry. And it's usually those half-hearted attempts that end up in situations like this. It's got to be cut and dry, and these are half-hearted for me. So, yeah, unfortunate for JC getting spun out there, but I think Xander definitely at fault with that one. Cool. Let's have a look at our third incident. This is quite an interesting one because I remember we never really got a proper replay at it, but this was the start of the pro race. Turn 1, lap 1, the unluckiest guy in sim racing at the moment, Jason Webb, and Charles Wilkin. And we remember seeing this in the background. I mean, Charles literally went airborne across a sausage curb. I don't know. I want to see what happened here. If he was trying to take avoiding action. We're on board with Charles. This is Jason coming up the inside into turn 1. The guys can go side by side through it. It's like that. It's a bit of contact. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Oh, airborne. So that's quite nice to see because Jason actually got tapped from the inside. The little contact, I think, between Charles and Jason originally going into turn 1 wasn't a real issue, but Jason definitely got tapped up the inside. I'm not sure who that was, and that put him into Charles, who took the right line there, the avoiding route, but those sausage curbs caused major mayhem.
Yeah, I think Webb obviously gets knocked by that Audi. I'm not sure who the Audi is, and then he obviously then pushes onto Wilkins. But if you look a little bit later on, Wilkins rejoining the track unsafely like that has caused even more carnage further up the field. Yeah,
George Smith out. I think that's who that is. White Rabbit Racing, if I remember. I'm like to see who that Audi is because you see, so he's done the right thing, gone completely airborne here. I mean, not nice. But yeah, this rejoin is really, really dangerous because he's coming straight onto the racing line here. Connects Charles. Yeah, bad. Yeah. So that's quite interesting because I mean I don't know who. Oh, took out a lot of guys there. So here we go. We've got an Audi up the inside. Maybe from that aerial view we can see who that was. But yeah, on board. Oh, you see Jason got a tap there, which knocked him into Charles. He spun out. So for me, that's a racing incident there. There's going to be argy-bargy at that point. So I don't have much of an issue here. So have a look at
Pasaki.
I don't know. I don't have an issue with this. This is gonna happen.
But Pasaki sort of needed at that point. He needed to tap out of it.
Yeah.
Because he's now hit Webb into Wilkins, and Webb's then spun because of it. So, I think
the lightest of taps, though, Tasty. That's for me what is so difficult here because you look at him, he's on the racing line as well. He hasn't actually done anything wrong, but it's also what's so funny. It's where the point of contact happens in the simulation in ACC. Because we saw, remember up front, we saw Zaire Essa and and Sherrod having a full-on bang through turn 1 and 2, no problem, because they were side on side. But this again, any little contact on a point of the car, look here, see, it's the lightest of touches, and that is what actually spins Jason. Not that contact from the Audi, it's his contact into Charles that actually rotates it.
Yeah, but he's already being rotated in another direction. But I think that first corner incident, it could have been avoided a little bit by Fasaki, and maybe Wilkins and Webb might not have ended up touching further on in the corner. But I think the bigger issue is Wilkins rejoining the track unsafely and causing even more carnage that needed to be happening.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. This for me kind of feels like a racing incident from the beginning. A lot of cars all going into turn 1. We knew there was going to be stuff, but that right there is a real issue, because it actually took out 4 cars. You see Jason kind of rejoining here. So I think that was George Smith that Charles Wilkin contacted there when he came back and joined unsafely. So are we agreeing here that this is kind of racing incident turn 1? I don't think we can really give blame to anyone there. Everyone kind of little bit of touching here there, but this is certainly something you can control, how you enter the track.
How you rejoin, yeah, for sure.
Okay, I hope that's going to help Jono. Let's have a look at our final ends. I'm glad I got to see that, because we just saw mayhem and carnage and a green Porsche going airborne over those voltage curbs. Now we can
cars
see.
spinning and
Yeah, but listen, I mean, that was like we mentioned it. I mean, Jason was one of my drivers of the day, because he literally came from last to finish, I think, 12th at the end. So that was an impressive comeback drive from him. We'll take a look now at our final incident, obviously also from the pros, and this one involves Brent Lindsay Ray and Byron Walker. Byron in the Ferrari and Brent in the Aston, if I remember correctly. And this was lap 14, so a little bit further on into the race. And turn 10. Now, turn 10 is that super fantastic braking opportunity. Got a nice little back straight, heavy under braking, nice lines that you can take, because you can go deep under braking, so we can see cars going side by side. I got this wrong originally when I viewed it, because I thought, oh, well, he had a go, and they touched side on side, and Brent Lindsay Ray could have kind of gone a bit deeper. But I think looking at this now, I'm probably wrong.
yeah, I think you're definitely wrong. It's almost like what we called it last night. You said that Lindsay Ray was, you thought Lindsay Ray was at fault by turning in on Walker, but now you can see how much later he goes in to try and make the maneuver. I don't know, like Lindsay Ray to me seemed to have overslowed the car down, and I think that's why Walker decided to go for it. But maybe he also just purely outbraked himself and actually didn't really know where to go, So I don't think he did it on purpose. And, by him stopping to let Lindsay Ray carry on going, I think he realized, he made a mistake. He obviously didn't do it. He obviously didn't do it on purpose. So he wanted to give the place back. So he already knew he made a mistake. Unfortunately, Lindsay lost another position. He actually didn't, because Murphy ended up spinning there as well.
Yeah, because Brent Lindsay Ray trying to get the car rotated around. Have a look here. He actually taps the next car. I think it's Clip. Or Murphy. It was Jason Murphy in the Audi that he spun there. He actually made contact trying to join. But it's a tricky one, because I think the problem, I like what you're saying, is that maybe, Walker felt that Lindsay Ray had maybe slowed down a little bit too early. But again, we saw a lot of attempted passes here where the guys made their intentions clear very early on, and then the driver can leave space, because you might be on the outside, but for the next corner you end up flipping to the inside, and you can defend that position back. We saw a lot of that happen during the race. So I just think that, Brent didn't even see him coming. Byron came from way back over here, and I think realized, have a look how much over he's trying to cut the corner. Because I
think to be fair, Walker just outbraked himself. Maybe missed his brake marker, because it almost looked like Lindsay's obviously overslowed the car, but when you come on board with him, he hasn't. It's just that Walker's just coming way too fast, because he obviously couldn't slow the car down enough. And then Lindsay's obviously trying to pull off and realize that there's a car coming, and I don't think he necessarily tried to hit the next car out. So I think this was just a racing incident. Walker knew he was wrong and gave the place back, and so I think he did the right thing.
But now this is the interesting point. So I knew I did the wrong thing and I gave the place back. But at the end of the day, I mean, those sort of decisions did have an impact on two people's race here. And even though he gave the position back, so he sacrificed his race, I mean, is it not a case of still having a penalty issue?
No, you know what? The thing is, I don't think he needs a penalty purely because Lindsay didn't really lose any other positions. But Walker's kind of, I think he did outbreak himself, and he's obviously made the mistake. He's come in way too hot, but straight away he's realized that, and he's kind of given the position back. So it's not like he carried on racing up the road and eventually realized, oh yeah, maybe okay, it could have or I couldn't have not. He knew straight away he made the mistake. So I mean, if there were more positions that Lindsay Ray had lost, then yes, we can look into it a little bit further. But I don't think we need to punish Walker for, he made the mistake. He gave the position back, and that was it really.
Yeah, but I want to have a look at this, because have a look at Brent Lindsay Ray, because I'd like to know what happened to Jason Result, because Brent Lindsay Ray should have then done the same. He should have given that position back to Jason Murphy, which he doesn't. So if you have a look here, I mean, you can clearly, he's facing the right way. You can see the car coming. Yeah, have a look. Drives into him. What? Now you see him driving off. There's spinning Murphy. He doesn't give that position back. So,
Yeah.
this is interesting now, because for me, okay, I'm spun, I'm irritated, but have a look. You can see him. There he is. Doof, drives into him. So that is a bit of a problem, because there he's been given a great example of, hey, I made a serious mistake. Sorry, Byron Walker says take the position back, Brent. But I don't see Brent doing the same. I don't know what happened on further down the track. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm wrong. But on what I can see here, Murphy's been tapped. He's been spun out. Brent Lindsay Ray continues down the road. Passes moved over for him. So that's something that I think Jono needs to look at as well, because that was also not safe.
No, I think, like I said earlier, Lindsay's obviously, he's rejoined the track, but kind of hasn't looked to see who's coming and realized it too late when the other cars already hit him. So he needs to be more aware of his surroundings and who's coming. You can't just obviously drive on the track and, nothing happens. So, I think it should be looked at, especially since Walker's kind of given the position back. He maybe should have done the exact same thing, like you're saying. So maybe he does need to look into that a little bit further, or give him a warning and just say you need to be more aware of your surroundings before you decide to pull off,
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. I mean, those are the 4 incidents. I mean, like we said, there were a lot of incidents, but a lot of them were proper racing, door-to-door stuff, which we love to see. And I was really impressed with what the circuit delivered and the way the drivers put their races together as well, because it really was battles throughout the field for 50 minutes. I mean, we sometimes didn't know where to look, because there was so much on action going, especially with like the last 10 minutes in the races. Guys were losing their tires, but a very, very good round of racing, round 7 at Circuit de Catalunya was great. So I just want to have a look. I know we've got I just want to find out what we're looking forward to. 2 weeks time is Hungaroring. Have you spent any time there? Have you driven that circuit, Taz?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure I'm going to be doing a review. So you could watch for some dodgy lines. But I'll be driving it in the next couple of days or so, and I've heard it's a really nice track. I'm not sure what car it would suit best. Obviously, the Porsche is obviously going to be quite quick, like it always is. No surprise there. But I'm looking forward to driving it, and obviously looking even more forward to watching some racing there.
It's quite similar in a way for me to Barcelona, because there's a lot of flowing corners that link up. You've got a fairly long straight as well. And I just know, watching the racing on Formula One, it's always super competitive and action-packed. So there's definitely places to overtake. But again, it's like there's a place there and a place there. The rest of the time you're lining it up. You're trying to get as close to the guy as possible. And, chatting to Bash yesterday, sitting right on the back of Jordan for so many laps, his tires suffered. And that's what happens at corners and at circuits like that, where there's a lot of follow my leader, linking corners. So that's something the guys are going to have to consider as well. But I'm sure they're going to get lots of time to practice at the Hungaroring in 2 weeks' time. Really looking forward to that. That's obviously on the 26th of July. Any comments from you, Taz, before we say goodnight?
No, I just think the guys have been actually really racing really nicely, like neatly. I think they've cleaned up their act quite a bit. Obviously, there's still the odd incident here and there, but from the beginning of the season to now, I think we've seen a big improvement, and obviously the racing has gotten a lot better and a lot closer. So yeah, it's good to watch.
Yeah, it was a little bit sad. We lost a couple of well-known names, regular guys doing well, top 5 finishes because of load shedding. So I don't know what the schedule is going to be like for 2 weeks' time, but it's just unfortunate. We know the guys have got 2 races they can throw away, but ultimately you don't want that to be a ESCOM issue. You'd prefer that to be, I had a bad race, let me throw this one away. So yeah, there's a lot more for the guys to now consider, not just with COVID, but now ESCOM getting involved as well.
Yeah, definitely. But also just a reminder, guys, that Jonathan is the final decision maker on these incidents. Marius and I are just here to give our opinions. But yeah, good luck is all I have to say.
I think we agree. Like, most of them are pretty. The first 2 are very, very clear cut. So I don't think Jonathan's going to have too much of a hassle there. But the last 3 interesting. So it was a nice incident report that was compiled for this week. To you guys, again, get involved on all the social media platforms. Get practicing 2 weeks' time. Hungaroring. Massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Of course, to ACC. We wouldn't be doing it without Seta Corsa, Kailami Nanao, and Motorsport South Africa as our main series sponsors. And then our partners, Elgato, Corsair, AMD, and obviously joining us, Sparko, with those cool prizes that we got to give away. And well done again to Jason Isherwood for winning that. I'm hoping that Bentley's going to go a lot faster now that you're wearing your Sparko gloves in 2 weeks' time. You guys, keep it safe. Have a beer on us. Oh, no, you can't. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Good night.
Ciao.
Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me. Don't play that. Take you down. I'ma say that. Money me a couple dollars. Telling you now this payback. So I pay that. Ask him now what's say that. I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that.
He had to slip down all the way into turn 1 and he's breaking it down.
And all these men gonna say what I did and they twisting their words till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move from my code. So finally back in my home. I'm
Till after the start of the safety car, do we have one late to run? So it'll be just about
all in, can't beat me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great scrap and almost bagging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.